Hello and Happy New Year. Today I'm going to take you guys on a guided tour of my collection room. I did have a collection video previously before I started this channel that appeared on Chasing 80s Toys, edited by my friend Chris Miwa. But I've made a lot of changes since that video was posted. So if anyone remembers that video from Chasing 80s Toys, which I will link to in the description, I still encourage you to stick around and take a look at this video, because I'm going to show you everything up close. We'll start on this side of the room. This is what I call the library, where I keep my trade paperbacks and comics. That Captain America lunchbox has some instruction sheets and mini comics in it. The G.I. Joe cartoon artwork is a gift from my friend Stuart at Universal Toy Collector. And whenever I mention that someone has given me a gift, I will put a link in the description to their YouTube or Instagram accounts. That Star Wars lunchbox also holds instructions. Got some short boxes here with comics. That's my Grendizer from HL Product, done in the style of the classic Shogun Warriors. That's a little treasure chest of thrift store finds that I'll be making some videos about. Some magazines up here, including a complete run of Toy Ventures magazine that's published by Brian Heiler of Flat Stallions. That's a recent Christmas gift from my daughter. That's the Yamdalorian of Mr. Potato Head, Mandalorian, and Baby Yoda. There's a little golden book collection in there. Here are some toys from the aforementioned Flat Stallions. There's a Godzilla garden gnome. It was also a Christmas gift. Speaking of Christmas, Heat Miser and Cold Miser from NECA. A Shogun Warriors puzzle, some coasters, and a Clash of the Titans minifigure. Those were all featured in my recent Etsy gift idea video. And on the bottom here, some storage containers with minifigures and eraser figures in them. Some old dinosaurs, Galaxy Laser Team Spacemen, robots, things like that. Moving on to the first wall of shelves. Up at the top here, you see some Micronauts, Outer Spacemen, and a few other figures, like that little Rom Space Knight. One of my first big videos of 2023 will be about the Micronauts, so if you like these figures, stay tuned for that. Next to that, a couple of carded figures hanging on the wall, and Comic Adventure Heroes Action Jackson from Zika Toys. That card is done in the style of the old Mego Comic Action Heroes. There's a Fig Biz Tarna from Heavy Metal. Got a couple of modern Megos up there. Cornelius and Dr. Zaius. Let's transition into the Super 7 Reaction Planet of the Apes figures, along with the Forbidden Zone and the Lawgiver. There's a NECA Ape Soldier, gifted to me by Boba Hicks. And Chaka and the Slee Stack, those are Funko figures. Until somebody makes some proper Land of the Lost action figures. Those represent Land of the Lost in my collection. Moving on to the Alien and Predator shelf. On the card are a couple of the Kenner-style retro figures that NECA did. They only did one Alien and one Predator for that series before they apparently abandoned that idea. Most of this shelf is going to be Leonard. There's a couple of reaction figures in there as well. I have a reaction Hudson, because Bill Paxton is awesome. A couple of muscle figures. Get away from her, you bitch. Alien Queen. And transitioning over to the 7-inch Leonard series. The Hiya Toys Aliens that I have there, as well as these Hiya Toys Predators, were gifted to me by Sal from Two Sets Toys. And I got a couple of NECA Aliens in the back there that were gifted to me by Boba Hicks. And hanging here is a custom painted Leonard Predator, gifted to me by Sal. He made a video about customizing this figure as part of the 2021 Iconicon, and he very generously gave that to me. Moving on to what I call the classic sci-fi shelf. On the wall there we have an Eagle Force Matt Matheson. That's an homage to Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man. My Star Trek figures are a combination of Modern Mego and MC Toys. And I have most of them in custom boxes that I purchased from eBay because I like the look of the old 1970s style Mego window boxes. There's a Mego Ben Sisko, my favorite Starfleet captain. The Flash Gordon figures from NECA that are an homage to the old Mattel Filmation toy line. Reaction Fembot. The Andre the Giant WWE figure. The Buck Rogers and Tiger Man Mego style figures are from Zika Toys. They attempted to kickstart a second series which would have featured Killer Kane and Hawk, but unfortunately they did not get funding for that, which is too bad because I've always wanted a Buck Rogers Hawk figure. A couple of Battlestar Galactica bendies in the back. Colonial Viper from Trendmasters. Robot B9 Lost in Space, Marvin the Martian. Flash and Vulcan from the 1980 film. There's the Cylon Raider. There's a soft vinyl called Sofubi figure of classic Rocket Raccoon. Some Rock'em Sock'em robots. Tommy Rascal robot. Large versions of the Timmy Toys Galaxy Laser Team. Black Hole figures. Diecast Enterprise given to me by Boba Hicks. Got a few of the Fisher-Price Imaginext figures that are an homage to the old Adventure People line. Some of the Diener Space Aliens, late 70s, early 80s. It's a little Mega Construx Mr. Spock, given to me by Will from Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. Yep, Funko Pop. Sorry, folks. Sorry if that offends anyone. But very difficult to get Gatchaman figures, good Gatchaman figures, for an affordable price. So until somebody does that, I'm going to have to settle for those Funko Pops. There's the NECA Flash and Ming from Defenders of the Earth. Space Battleship Yamato, aka Star Blazers in the US. And a little K9 and a little TARDIS. Coming to our first kaiju shelf. primarily kaiju. I have a few Twilight Zone figures in the back there because I had no other wall space to put them. Most of the kaiju on this side are by Bandai from the Godzilla Singular Point anime. I also have some Ultra Monsters. And all my Monsterverse figures are over here as well. There's a Daimajin in the back there. And I also have a Gamera and a Gaios. And on the end, you can see Predacon and Xenozilla from Resurrection Toys. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shelf is a bit of a mishmash, but that's the way I like it. I've got some Playmates reissues, Playmates classics, Super 7 Reaction. There's a Boss Fight Studios loose Bucky O'Hare, and a carded Bucky O'Hare in the back that's signed by Michael Golden and Larry Hama. Got the NECA Fugitoid, NECA Usagi, and in the back is the Super 7 Ultimates Mutagen Man, glow-in-the-dark version that Entertainment Earth was practically giving away on Black Friday. And that Casey Jones figure is from the Loyal Subjects Best Action line. I did a video on that. That figure is terrible. So yeah, a bit of a mix of different sizes and styles, but I do like variety. Here's the first shelf of superhero figures. So the McFarlane Superpowers figures are there. There's a Linda Carter version of Wonder Woman from Mattel. I've got the Superpowers Batmobile from Hot Wheels, along with the minifigures that I believe Gentle Giant did. All these Mego style figures are a combination of Modern Mego, Figures Toy Company, and the old Mattel Retro Action line. And I've put most of them in the same type of custom boxes that we saw on my Star Trek figures. And that shelf display is also by Figures Toy Company. It holds 12 different figures. Down here we've got mostly the Marvel Legends Retro 3 3/4 inch Marvel figures, some Dollar Store Justice League figures, and a variety of different Hot Wheels vehicles, including the infamous Spider-Mobile and Thanos Copter. You also see the Spider Machine GP7 from the Japanese Spider-Man series. Those are brand new Modern Mego, Flash, and Green Lantern figures in the back. Mego just started releasing their own figures in those retro boxes, so that's good. I don't have to source any from eBay. There's a little chibi Batmobile Hot Wheel on the card back there. That was given to me by Boba Hex. Bottom shelf on this wall is Jurassic Park. Various dinosaurs. Hard to see in the back, but in the back there is a boxed kitchen and counter set. That includes the Tim and Lex figures. Got the big Apatosaurus going all the way, almost the entire length of the shelf, where he meets the T-Rex. Got the Jeep down there with Ian, John Hammond, Alan and Ellie, Muldoon and Nedry, About to get eaten. That small gate is from the Mattel Micro Collection. And that sits atop the Dino Riders minifigure set that Mattel released a couple of years ago. The closest we've gotten to Dino Rider reissues. And in the back there, that green dinosaur is a glow-in-the-dark Triceratops from the Beasts of the Mesozoic line. They created that as an homage to an old open-mouth glow-in-the-dark dinosaur, which I also have the original of. It's hard to see, but he's sitting on top of that box back there. I had to move her out of the way to film, but the big Brachiosaurus lives on the floor in front of this section of shelves because she is too big to keep anyplace else. As we transition from that section of shelves over to the other side of the room, above the closet, that's a recent addition I got for Christmas from my daughter, the Batman's Most Wanted. And on my closet, you can see various cutouts that I bought from Vintage Spooky Company on Etsy. And several of these were featured in the Etsy Collector's Gift Idea Guide that I did just before Christmas. Moving on to the art gallery, which is behind the door because I'm all out of wall space, and this is the only space I have to display some artwork. Starting at the top, a Generation 1 Dinobots print done by artist Dan Canna, also signed by Greg Berger, the voice of G1 Me Grimlock. Yes, I do voices too, thank you. This print of the Inhumanoids was done by an artist local to me here in New England, Frankie B. Washington. He loves giant monsters and giant robots just like I do. This print is by famous Godzilla comic artist Matt Frank. This is an homage to the 1990s Trendmasters Godzilla toy line. Down here, another artist that's local to me here in New England, Bob Eggleton, who's done work for Dark Horse Comics, G-Fan Magazine, and this particular print was the cover of an issue of Famous Monsters of Filmland, depicting the Kaiju Dream Battle, Gamera vs. Godzilla. Down here, the Diener Alien Creatures print by Tim Barron. This was also featured in my Etsy gift idea video. Moving up, this is a G-Force recruitment poster based on Battle of the Planets, aka Gatchaman. That artist's name is Anna McKendrick. I picked that up at a convention. This Captain America print is from artist Dan Brereton, who's worked on things like Giant Killer and Batman Thrill Killer for DC. He also has his own independent comic book called The Nocturnals. And I liked this print because it's a mock Captain America cover done in the style of the classic EC comics. Creature from the Black Lagoon print, done by famous movie poster artist Drew Struzan. If you saw any movie poster in the 80s, you've seen his work. At the top here is a print of the original Gojira film from Japan, and that is signed by Akira Takarada, a gentleman who appeared in many Godzilla films over the years, starting with the first one, in which he played Ogata, which is this character right here. And unfortunately, Mr. Takarada passed away a couple of years after I met him. Over the door of the room, this is a canvas I picked up at Hobby Lobby, depicting Marvel characters in their classic Silver and Bronze Age costumes, which is how I prefer them. On the back of the door, another gift from my daughter. This big poster is from the 2001 Godzilla film, and this is the entire title: Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. Yes, that is a mouthful. Godzilla fans just call it GMK for short. And next to that, I've got some pinback buttons that were also featured in that Etsy video. I keep going back to that video because I bought a lot of cool stuff from there. And I display them on these nice sticky felt strips that I picked up from Amazon. And there's my light switch. So starting with what I refer to as the big wall. This wall is 6 feet across. I've got several shelves that go the entire length of the wall. Starting up top here, my Thundercats, much like my Ninja Turtles, are a mishmash of different styles and sizes. We've got the Funko Savage World figures, a few of the Super 7 Ultimates, and a few reactions that I keep on the card as they make a nice backdrop. These Battle Beast looking dudes are exactly that. These are called Beast Saga. They were released by Takara in 2011. They are like the spiritual successors to the Battle Beasts. And rather than the rub sign, wood, fire, and water gimmick, these guys have dice that launch out of their chests for a gaming feature that I do not understand because I cannot read Japanese. The first Transformer section starts with this reaction Bumblebee that is signed by his original voice actor, Dan Gilvezan. Got some carded cassette and mini-bot reissues on the wall. A reissue Beast Wars Tigatron there. And the first of the 6-foot shelves. Got a few combiners in the back there, some of my favorite combiners. Lio Kaiser, God Neptune, and Baldigus. Various Decepticons. There's good old Megatron. You've got Skylinks there. And all these Transformers are modern from the various generations and Titans Return Legacy series. There's Optimus over there. And let me reposition myself. That Generation 1 looking combiner in the back there is a third-party toy. It's one of the few third-party Transformers that I have. It's called Glacial Lord. It's an old G1 style combiner made up of 5 different Ice Age mammals. Very interesting. I had to get that. There's Optimus. And in the back there are various boxed G1 reissues. And my favorites, the Dinobots. This next shelf I call Creature Features. There's a lot on this shelf. All different monsters from film or original monsters that are done in a classic style. That Trendmasters Gigan was a gift from Salvator, 2 Cents Toys. The NECA Ash and Pennywise in the back there were gifts from Boba Hicks. I do love my monsters, and I do have a wide variety of them. Try to get in back there so you can see a lot of the mini figures that are crowded in there. Elvira looks shocked to be there. This next shelf is sort of a miscellaneous shelf. A mix of different things. That's a modern, upsized version of one of the old Staroid Raiders from the 1970s. Got some Robotech Macross reaction figures. A Robocop reaction. One of the few vintage things I have in my collection, this masked Firefly. Along with a Miles Mayhem that I picked up at a thrift store with a Repro helmet on him. A couple of Glyos style RoboForce figures. The Ultraman Monster Bowgun, also gifted to me by Salvator. Burning Gundam from the only Gundam series I've ever watched all the way through, and that was Mobile Fighter G Gundam. And I can hear the Gundam fans gasping and yelling at the screen right now. That's a modern version of one of the old Machine Robos that was released in GoBots. Mega Construx Bender, also gifted to me by Will. Some Street Sharks muscle figures, Zika Toys Sectors, and the Dinonautas that I did a video on. Those came from Brazil. I've got some Robotech muscle figures back there from Super 7. Moving on to the sort of fantasy and sword and sorcery shelf. Solomon Kane and Conan by Figures Toy Company in custom boxes. That Mythic Legions figure, I believe his name is Arthur, gifted to me by Sal. Red Sonja and a Xena back there. Some Warrior Beasts figures. Some of the Timmy Fantasy Battle figures that I did a video on. Those were repurposed from Marvel Superheroes. Again, like Gatchaman, I am waiting for someone to release affordable Thundar figures. The ones that were released by Toynami back in, I believe, 2006 go for hundreds of dollars. So until then, I've got some Funko Pop Thundars. That fiery dog was gifted to me by Boba Hicks. He goes very well with the Arthur figure as a Hellhound. Got some Marvel Hot Wheels hanging on the wall with the classic comic book art on them as we transition down to the Star Wars shelf. My Star Wars figures are mostly Power of the Force 2. But I do have some vintage collection and retro collection thrown in. And the vehicles are from various lines. Basically, whatever I could afford that looked good. Back there you can see the Stan Solo Iconicon exclusive chromed Boba Fett, done in Iconicon colors. Most of the retro collection are under here. Hanging on the wall back there are Black Series Zuckuss and 4-LOM that were given to me by Boba Hicks. I don't have many Black Series figures. Most of the ones I have are carded. And this Endor bunker I picked up from Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. Will gave me a fantastic price on it. A much better value than the Hasbro Vintage Collection one that was just announced. Down here we've got another dinosaur shelf. The larger figures are from the Leonard Primal Clash series, which was released in Europe as Jurassic Clash. I think they had to change the name to Primal Clash when it was sold in Walmart, so as not to anger the very litigious Mattel over their Jurassic Park brand. These are basically the core figures on armored up dinosaurs. And these smaller figures are from a company called Zuru. They're sold in not blind bags, but blind spheres. They're little spheres. You may have seen them at Target or Walmart. And inside the sphere, you get parts to assemble a dinosaur with weapons and armor. So they all kind of go together. Did I ever mention how much I love Super Robots? So these are all my Shogun Warriors and Super Robot figures. That vehicle Voltron does disassemble into the 15 parts. It is a knockoff, which is fine. On the cards back there, I have a Shogun style Godzilla and Voltron from the Reaction line. I also have both of those figures loose. Godzilla one's back there. Voltron one is right in the middle. And these are all just various reissues, PVCs, vinyl figures. You can see Steel Jeeg and his horse. Those are the figures that were recolored and remolded into Baron Karza and Force Commander for the Micronauts line in the 70s. That die-cast Raideen is a reissue. Unfortunately, the connectors that hold his mask open were made of gold plastic, and they pretty much disintegrated. That's why his mask is closed. Over here we have the first two Marvel Legends shelves. They go pretty deep, all the way back. The figures go 3 deep. These are all my good guy figures, all based on the original Silver and Bronze Age costumes. And down here are my bad guys. In the back there's Amigo Stan Lee. And there's also that was a generic Mego mummy. And someone on eBay was selling a box for Marvel's The Living Mummy in Cantu. So I just took the generic mummy, put him in that box, and now he's Unkantu. And on this shelf, the King Cobra and Tiger Shark back in the corner there were both gifted to me by Salvator. Mego Monsters. There's a combination of Universal, Hammer, and other monsters like the Medusa and the classic The Fly. In the back there's a boxed Invisible Man, the Mole People, and the black and white version of the Creature. You'll notice I have a lot of creatures. He's my favorite old movie monster, other than Godzilla. And there's a couple of reaction figures back there as well. Again, the Creature and a Nosferatu. This is another combination shelf. We've got a couple of modern Zoids on there. The green robot back there is from an anime called Sosoraiga. There's the Jaeger from Pacific Rim Black. A couple of Matchbox Thunderbirds back there. Carded. A few figures in here from an independent line called Morphonauts that are interchangeable magnetic figures like the old Micronauts. There's a Bloodstone from the Beast Box line. And on this side of the shelf we have my few G.I. Joe Classified and Valaverse Action Force figures. And I have the box for Desert Rat back there, signed by my buddy Tony when I met him at the Iconicon meetup the summer of this past year. Here's the second Transformer shelf. This one is 6 foot across, like the other one. Again, just various modern figures with some boxed reissues in the background. On this shelf is mostly my Wreckers team. Characters from the original UK comic that formed the Wreckers. Also have some Beast Wars reissues. And down the end here are the Beast Wars figures that have been updated for Kingdom and Legacy. Bottom shelf, we've got a lot of miscellaneous figures down here to look at. Starting with the giant Leonard Kong Skull Island figure. I've got some early 2000s G.I. Joe Adventure Team figures. Captain Action reissue. Knockoff Godzilla. That random little dinosaur is just something I picked up from Second Chance Toys when I was at Iconicon, just because I liked them. In the background, you can see the Back in Action figures that Mattel released, Mattel Creations. There's a Rocketeer, Gargoyle and Bronx. I'm sorry, Goliath and Bronx from Gargoyles. There's a Creature figure with Kay Lawrence, the Bathing Beauty. The giant Leonard Predator and the red electronic Alien Queen. The NECA Original Superheroes Phantom. which I've paired with a G.I. Joe Classified Timber to act as Devil, and a Spawn Gunslinger horse. That E.T. is by Noble Toys, part of the Bendy Figs collection. And now we move on to a few Power Rangers toys, both modern and reissues from both Bandai and Hasbro. My favorite being the Bandai reissue of the White Tiger Zord. And now, as we move into the corner, the start of my Motu collection. These are all Motu Origins in this corner. In the back there, you can see a couple of carded Warrior Beasts from Zolo World. And now we move on to the next wall. In between these two walls, I have a print of Gregory the Vampire Bat, an old 1970s monster toy. That was done by Tim Barron. And I have a little section of pegboard for all my carded Marvel 3 3/4 inch retro figures. I've decided to collect all of these mint on card. This is the only modern line that I'm currently a completist on. Underneath there's the oversized Sentinel from that series. And we have an Amazing Heroes Mr. Monster, which is a Secret War style figure done by Fresh Monkey Fiction. At the top of this wall, we have my DC shelf. I have quite a few figures from the old Mattel DC Classics line, and a bunch of die-cast Bat vehicles, mostly from Hot Wheels. And back there, the Superpowers retro cards that Mattel did, along with a few modern Megos, Batman, Superman, and Robin. And on this side of the shelf, this is the McFarlane Batcave, which is meant to be for 6-inch scale figures, but it's kind of small, so I've paired it with the 3 3/4 inch scale figures that Funko did. So I have the Batman 66 figures at the bottom of the cave there. And those are new Teen Titans figures that Funko did. And I think they work pretty well with that Batcave. Right here I have a sketch of the Scarlet Witch that was done by the late great George Perez. I met him at a convention a few years before he was forced to retire for health reasons. And he has passed away just earlier this year, 2022. Moving on to the Godzilla shelf. In the back, I have carded figures from the Super 7 Reaction line, and all the loose figures are either from Bandai or Playmates. And all these kaiju are from the Showa, Heisei, or Millennium Godzilla film series. The G.I. Joe shelf is mostly from the G.I. Joe Retro 4-inch line, which were mostly just reissues of the 25th anniversary line. I have a couple of those figures, also like that Serpentor and the carded Snake Eyes and Timber back there. There's a classified Baroness on the retro card. And that Reaction Duke was signed by Duke's voice actor, Michael Bell. And funny story about this shelf. When I filmed this for my original collection tour that was on Chasing 80s Toys, I only had one Cobra Trooper and one Cobra Officer because I am not really an army builder. Sal Vader watched that video and deemed that to be unacceptable. So he gifted me with all the other Cobra troops that you see here. So now Cobra Commander has an entire platoon to yell at. And on this side of the shelf, the real Ghostbusters reissues. I have a complete set. I decided to keep Slimer on the card. And you can see there's a couple of extra guys in there. Gizmo and My Pet Monster have come out to play. And that's a caricature of me as Hawkman that I had done at a convention one time. Here we have more Marvel Legends. In the back I have carded examples of all the different retro lines that they've released so far. And the figures on the shelves, a lot of them are the bigger build figures that I couldn't fit on the previous two shelves, along with the Fantastic Four, the main Avengers, and Spider-Man and his amazing friends. I think there may be one or two of you out there that enjoy Masters of the Universe. So here's my very, very packed full shelf. Mostly Origins. Well, there's a few of the older Super 7 figures in there that have the original Motu articulation. The reaction figures, I bought all of those on clearance to act as background artwork. I've got a few Masterverse figures in there as well. And there is not 1 inch of real estate left on this shelf. Next to that shelf, we transition down to Castle Grayskull, the Origins version. Wind Raider and Zor at the top. Teela and the Sorceress keeping watch. And this is the big boy shelf. Start off with my Hoth scene, which includes the AT-AT. Got a couple of carded Black Series back there. This turret playset was something else I picked up from Wilhelm Toy and Hobby for an excellent price. And back there on top of that light up Star Wars sign are the Galactic Heroes Bounty Hunters, gifted to me by Boba Hicks. And we've got various Hoth figures under the AT-AT. We've got a couple of Transformers Titans right here. My favorite, Trypticon, along with Headmaster Leader Scorponok. A couple of more Beast Wars reissues in the back there. And those are Trypticon and Scorponok's partners, Grunt and Fast Track. Right there, that is a oversized Froggacuda, a new version of a figure from a toy line called the Otherworld back in the 80s. That was made by a small maker called Last Resort Toys. And to finish off our tour is the big boy, the modern Shogun Warriors Godzilla, created by Toynami. And that's it. That's the entire tour. Everything I have on display. Also have a bunch of stuff in storage that I may be able to bring out someday. So I hope you enjoyed this New Year's video. I will be taking a few weeks off in January. But for those of you who are new to the channel, I believe there are 90 videos in my playlists. So feel free to peruse those. See if there's anything you like. And I will be back at the end of January with all new content. So thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.